Righty then, welcome to Howson Mckola, the aftermath, I think we might call it.
Mckola.
Howson Mckola.
Mckola. Howson.
What's here?
Yeah.
I'm here as well. You all right, lads? I'm here
You
to
sent
guide
me
us
here?
through today's video because it's a bit of a spicy topic, this one. It's not as simple as, run the mics and let's see what happens. We've got to go through this.
I'm not sure about this.
Well, I am. And you did agree to it, so it's happening. What's happened yesterday, Man United literally lost to Villareal in the Europa League final. Now, one of the biggest talking points that's come out of this afterwards is the manager.
Here
What?
we go again.
Oh my God, Joe.
What?
Can we do a full bottle of... No, man.
Bit of fun.
If we won yesterday,
Yeah.
I know we have a trophy,
Mm-hmm.
but does that change the way you feel going into next season?
Well, it doesn't necessarily... It changes the way I feel a little bit. Yeah, it does. But
in
not a
terms
lot.
of where this team is and what this team needs, does it change the fact that we need 3-4 signings in the summer? Does it change the fact that we're still behind City?
No.
If we won the Europa League, would that have meant we're on target to win the Premier League and Champions League? No. Look, I wanted a trophy.
Yep.
And I'm really disappointed we didn't win it. And I wish we did. And part of me is starting to feel like, is this a thing with this team? That when we have big games, and I know we've won some big games as well, which makes me think, what are you on about? Like, when you have these battles in your own head. It makes me think, what am I on about? But in a lot of big games, or not particularly big games because we've beaten big teams, but in pressure moments, or in moments where we could really push on and turn something from second to first, or turn something into a trophy, a semi into a final, we fail to do it a lot of the time. And that's a little bit worrying for me. If you look at the period of time where we thought we were in a title race and we dropped points a lot. Now, there's various different reasons for that. Cool. But is that a sign that this team's a little bit flaky, or we're just not where we need to be yet? I think it's a bit of both. But the fact that it could be a little blip with the team, a little mentality thing, is a little bit of a worry for me. And it's because, look, Villareal, we should be beating them.
Yeah.
We've beaten better teams in this competition this season.
Yeah.
We should have beaten them.
Well, let's have a look at some stats then, because in this video we're going to be looking through some of the other managers around Europe that are being
I don't like
touted
being
with
so
United.
dismissive of Villarreal,
No, but I mean,
But we have beaten better teams than them.
No, but I
but
think
we
that
should have
them
beaten
coming seventh in La Liga is one of them weird ones that they weren't the seventh best team. They were really good. They were a really good
They
footballing
weren't
team.
really good on the night.
No, they
We
weren't.
should have beaten. Like
But
that's
they also changed up their style and played a defensive game, and everyone's entitled to do whatever they need to do to get over the line, obviously. But
if we played Villareal in the knockout stages, we beat them, and that's what I think it is. It was
it's like Villarreal players have come out on top of this statistically. Some of the best players in the tournament. I think like Moreno's the top scorer. You've had, I think one of the defenders has got some mad stat in there as well. Like they're a good team. I think everyone was so dismissive of them in the build up to it. Like it was like United just had to show up, and on some sort of level, we kind of did just have to show up, and we definitely didn't do that. But like, I don't think it's fair to just start writing it like this is some part timers. No. People going, oh, how many of them would get in United's team? We're literally linked with like 2 of them.
Yeah.
So at least them 2.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not a shit team by any means, but to the point you were making there about...
They're not a shit team, but that's not the point I think people are making in it. I think the point is, if you come up against Villareal in the final, you should be beating them. Manchester United should be beating them. And, all right, let's take it just from this perspective. Unai Emery has been in the job about the same time or less time than Ole, with less at his disposal, and he won. So you have to be able to, question why we couldn't beat them on the night. But then you got to look at some of the players as well. I don't think Rashford performed. I don't think Bruno performed.
I think it was only
I
2
don't
who
think
did.
Pogba
I think it was only
performed.
McTominay and
Yeah,
Cavani.
probably the
Yes,
best.
I
So I
agree.
would say Greenwood and Cavani. I don't think McTominay played particularly well either in the first half. I think he got better as the game went on, but a lot of it was scruffy and scrappy and bobbly, and it wasn't very good. Bringing Greenwood off was hard for me.
Let's have a talk about managers then, because that's what all the talk on social media is about. We knew it would be. We can defend all if we want to. We can look at some of these other options. But let me just bring you some of the stats. The big names being thrown around at the minute. Zidane has just left Real Madrid. Conte has just left Inter Milan. Both of those two managers, very successful at those clubs. Let me give you some stats. So this is since Ole joined Man United in 2018. Here's what those two managers have done. So in that time, United haven't won any trophies. Obviously, there's been progress, but here's what Zidane has done. In 2019, they finished third in La Liga. Not great, but they won the Champions League. 2020, they finished first in the Liga, won the league. Last 16, the Champions League, Copa del Rey quarter-final, and they won the Super Cup. In 2021, so this season, Zidane's Real Madrid finished second in La Liga, got the semi-finals of the Champions League, third round Copa del Rey, semi-final of the Super Cup. So not the best season for them this year by any means, but he has won some big things in the last few years. Conte, in 2020, finished second in Serie A, which was a massive improvement on where Inter had been before that. They got knocked out in the group stage of the Champions League. Europa League semi-finalists, Coppa Italia semi-finalists, and then this season, Conte's Inter Milan won the Serie A, breaking, I think, was it a 7 or 8 year dominance of Juventus. They got to the semi-final of the Coppa Italia, and they got knocked out in the Champions League group stage. So
they got knocked out in the Champions League group stage like us, and they got beat by Villareal in the Europa League like us.
But they did win Serie A.
I don't
they
think
won
Conte
Serie A.
is the one for United.
Let's start with Conte then, because let's go back a bit further.
First off, I don't think we should be sacking Ole.
Okay.
But if we did not have a manager,
Yeah.
let's play silly beggars. Conte is a very good coach and he can get you results. But what he would also do in the process is similar to what Mourinho wanted to do and bring in a whole load of older players. If you look at that Inter Milan team now,
Look who he signed.
in the next 2 years, that Inter Milan team's going to be finished.
But
Maybe even before then. So that's got a short shelf life.
But some of that, is that not necessarily down to him and more down to the finances he had available? He had
down to him.
He had to go with older, proven players because he
did
didn't
that
have.
at Chelsea as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who did he sign that was young at Chelsea?
He played with Victor Moses and then
But Victor Moses was already there. He didn't sign Victor Moses for Chelsea, did he?
Just an example.
I
He
understand.
used those kind of more experienced
But
players.
he used what was at his disposal. I'm not saying I want Conte, and again, these are the talking points because
Do you know
this
who I
is what
would be
everyone is
if-
talking about.
I think Zidane's slept on a little bit.
Right.
You can't win 4 Champions Leagues, La Liga and all that, and not be like... And people just almost...
Do you know why? It's because he had an excellent team, for one, right? Obviously, losing Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely a blow, right? There's no two ways around that. But he still had an excellent team. Like, if we'd have had Sergio Ramos, I think United would have been a lot more of a threat for a lot of people because you don't have that leadership and nous and dark arts and shithousery and actually just pure quality. How many fucking goals does he score and
I think
contribute?
he's got 100
Double
career
figures,
goals.
isn't it?
It's ridiculous, is what it
Every
is. It's
season.
absolutely ridiculous what he does in terms of goal scoring. United don't have that quality, that leadership, that confidence in any sort of player whatsoever. Now, I'd still love to win a cup competition, but cup competitions you can just kind of like you can pick up. Ron Atkinson was the king of cup competitions. Do you know what I mean? Like and he couldn't win a league to save his life.
Yeah.
It's different. You know, in all those years, he picked up what was it, 1 La Liga?
Yeah,
Zidane.
I think it was 1, yeah.
Okay.
Certainly at least 1.
I think Real Madrid fans would say that's not good enough.
But they did win also 3 Champions Leagues under Zidane.
And I'm not dismissing. I'd love to have won 3 Champions Leagues.
3 in a row as well.
Yeah, I'd love to have won 3 in a row. I'm certainly not going to dismiss that.
Yeah.
But cup competitions, you can kind of ride your luck a little bit. No one ever luckily wins the league. And that's where I think you should really judge everybody.
I agree with that. But then on the same note...
You're going to dismiss Fergie's finger
But
because
then he
didn't manage to win cup competitions.
But winning 3 Champions Leagues in a row, you're essentially... That is about as many games as a league competition. And
it's
he's
still
won
a
them
cup.
all. Yeah, I agree. This podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. At this point, we love Manscaped, don't we?
I love it.
We know it. We love it. I'm as smooth as I've ever
Got a
been.
story for you as well.
Go on then.
Which is actually a great advertisement for Manscaped.
Well, go for it.
In all that it does. So I've got that lawnmower 2.0 at home.
Even the lawnmower 3.0, which is even better.
3.0 I've got at home.
Yeah.
And I was using it the other day, but because the battery life's so good, I forgot to charge it.
Yes.
So it ran out mid-gooch.
Oh, no.
So I was thinking, damn, it's ran out. Do I charge this? Have half a bush downstairs? Probably forget to do it again. Be knocking about with half a bush for a while. So I went to my old razor. Within 5 seconds, I nicked it.
It's honestly...
That no-nick technology is real.
It actually is genuinely brilliant. And like you said about the charge time, I've been stunned by that. I was like, I ain't charged this in about a month. Obviously, I'm not using it every day. I'm not mad.
I actually don't think I've charged it.
It's like
Exactly. And you just go and use it,
out.
and it's still there. He's still charging it. It's brilliant. It's got a light on it. You know it all by now. Antonic technology. It's not just that, though. In the Perfect Package 3.0, you get the crop cleanser, the crop reviver. These are toners. These are deodorants for your balls. Pop it on when you get out of the shower. If you need a little top-up halfway through the day, you feel like you might be getting some guests down there, pop the crop reviver on. You know what I mean? There's also the Weed Whacker nose hair trimmer as well.
I got that one.
It's good in it. The great thing about Manscaped as well is all of their stuff was designed with your chaps in mind. That's the difference. Everyone else is like, oh, we already do these types of clippers. Let me do this. It's a beard trimmer. This was designed to be a ball trimmer.
Yeah, people use their beard trimmers on their balls.
Don't do that. Use a ball trimmer on your balls.
And that's when you get nicked.
Exactly. Get nicked. You're about to get nicked as well. And for our viewers, you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code Paddock20. I mean, we all know Manscaped. We love Manscaped. If you haven't tried it yet, it's no coincidence that we are sponsored by Manscaped. We use Manscaped ourselves.
As well, apparently.
Yeah, which isn't recommended, but Zidane does what he
My
does.
shit looks like a newborn hamster at the minute.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And he's saying that in a good way somehow. But yeah, it looks fantastic, better than it ever has. And do you know something else? And this is very much a side effect. But if you shave your bumhole, your farts rip out. You get some extra volume on there. And I'm a big fan of that.
Volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like, oh my God, it was a wet one. It's not. Smooth.
Yeah, it's just smooth
Just
as you like.
rippling off my cheeks like a fucking round of applause at the opera.
Exactly, and no better way to end than that. Again, use the code Paddock20. You can see it on the screen right there. Paddock20 at checkout to get 20% off and free
Last night
shipping
at the fucking proms.
using the code Paddock20. We all like the last night of the proms, and if you want your bumhole to sound like that, use Manscaped. But again, thank you very much to Manscaped for sponsoring this podcast. Zidane has left Real Madrid. There are going to be links to United.
I don't think that happened.
Regardless of what you think of Ole, Zidane has won a hell of a lot more than Ole. Why is it in your mind that, start with you, Steve, that you wouldn't go, well, he's won a lot more, he must be better, let's get him in?
Who's he developed? Because you come to Manchester United, you're not getting the riches you had at Real Madrid. And you're going to have to develop some talent. And I think at the moment, for all of the criticisms you can level at Ole in various stages, I think his development of working with what he's had to is elite. Pep Guardiola would have signed 15 fucking left backs, right? Rather than work with what he had now. Yes, he signed Tellez, and that might have been part of the reason why we saw Luke Shaw get a jolt up the arse. But Luke Shaw has this season developed into someone that people are talking about being in Team of the Year. Some credit's got to go to Luke Shaw for that. Some credit has to go to Ole for that. The management of Greenwood last season, through the sticky patch that he's had this season, into the player that he finished the season as, has to go to Ole to a certain degree. Marshall and Rashford both got over 20 goals. They'd never done that before. They did that under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. His man management is fucking elite, Joe, right? The way he's been bringing through people. Now, people always want more, right? So people are like, wow, he didn't play Ahmad and he hasn't played Van der Beek and blah, 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 blah. Maybe he's slowly dripping him in. And maybe he's seeing things that we're just not in training. And he's like, do you know what? Next season's the one for you.
And also,
this guy's going Euros. This guy's doing that. You'll play.
Also, Steve, like, and Joe, when people talk about things like that, but this, you do realise you can make mistakes and get things right. Like, it's not all black and white. Like, managers can get things right and get things wrong.
Yeah.
And you can admit when he's got something wrong. Like, for example, I feel Van der Beek should have played more this season. I feel Van der Beek could have been one of those subs to come on and maybe change the game.
Relied on Marcus
against Villareal. Same. I think Ahmad could have maybe changed that game a little bit. But you still have to be fair in your overall judgment of what he's done. I can see issues with Ali. I can see things where I think, I'm not sure he's the guy to win us the league. I've said it from the start. I'm not sure he's the guy to bring the Champions League. But what he has shown over the course of this season is he didn't need to toss off the league, by the way, to get a Europa League final.
Do you know how many people actually think Jose did that in the same season, though?
Yeah.
Came second and won the Europa League.
Yeah, he didn't.
No, he fucking didn't.
He didn't.
Factually.
He didn't.
He just didn't do it.
Yeah, he didn't.
But I see it repeated 5 times a day.
And he needs back this summer as well.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But
Ole did it with a far better squad than Jose.
And that's bullshit
no, he
as well,
didn't.
because he made this squad better.
But I also don't think it was better
But
personnel-wise.
Jose had the hair. Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Bailly. All right, he wanted Maguire. He didn't get him. Cool. He had at right back, he didn't have Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He had Valencia, Ashley Young, all those guys. Diogo Dalot was one that he wanted and bought. In midfield, he had McTominay, right? He had Fred, he had Pogba, he had Matic. He never had Donny van der Beek, but he would have hated Donny van der Beek. So
why is this boy in my dressing room?
Who is this pale boy? What's he doing here? It's like
You make
Yeah,
tea.
Rashford.
forward, he had the same.
You make
He had a
tea?
better forward line, arguably.
Yeah.
Because
Fucking easily.
Ollie came in with a young 16, 17-year-old Greenwood, and Jose had Lukaku.
He's like Lukaku who's just gone and broke Ronaldo's record at Inter.
He brought Lukaku and Alexis when they were the two best strikers in the Prem, arguably.
Jose had a better squad and didn't do as much as Ollie did.
And he turned that squad into shit.
But he did win a trophy. Even
did
though it
win
wasn't the same season,
No,
he did win
He
it.
did win a trophy. And congratulations, and I enjoyed it
Why
very
don't
much.
Why don't people bring up the fact that Van Gaal also won a trophy?
Because no one ever really wanted, like, other fans of other clubs, I never think took Van Gaal seriously, you know.
No, but
I think
why
that's
don't
why.
people bring, like, because he did the same.
He
won a
did.
trophy. Jose, it's always, Jose won a trophy. Yeah, so did Van Gaal.
It's because Jose's got PR.
And now they're
around
both
him.
not around no more.
Yeah. I know we've mentioned him briefly, but let's go back to Conte a little bit, because the Chelsea thing, for me, makes, if you had to pick between the two, that makes him the favourable one over Zidane, because he has done it in multiple different clubs. He's done it at Juventus, he's done it at Chelsea, he's done it at Inter. Conte did win the
Has
league
Allegri just been announced? by the way?
with an agent. I don't think
Sorry, Juve.
it's not been officially announced, but I think Fabrizio Romano was talking about it.
So it looks like Allegri's going there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rumours of Poch going back
Well,
to
we'll talk
Spurs
about
to
Poch a little bit in a minute.
repeat
What
his
is that about?
success.
But
Lol.
on Conte first, though, because he has won the Premier League. So that, to me, puts him in a different bracket to all of these managers. What is your problem with Conte, if there is a problem with him? And I'm not saying, why don't you want him over Ole? I'm saying, what is your problem with him, regardless of Ole?
I just don't take to him. And I think that they're, like, I've been listening to someone talking about football cultures quite a lot at the moment. And Barcelona's, let's call it, frankly, ridiculous success over the last decade-ish, 15 years. Arguably started in 2006 with the Champions League win under Rijkaard, right? It wasn't under Rijkaard, that one, wasn't it? Now, the succession of managers, and weirdly, Koeman's even a part of this, they're all people who learn with and from Cruyff. And Johan Cruyff is the footballing culture of Barcelona.
Yeah.
Barcelona didn't have a footballing identity until Cruyff. And now Barcelona have tried to feed into that success. I think Villanova was also one. You know, Guardiola was one of these.
It's why Jose didn't get the job there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he didn't tick those boxes. It's like how it's different, but it's like Bilbao only have Basque players. Barcelona will only have you if you've come through.
Van Gaal as well,
Van
obviously.
Gaal.
Yeah,
They're
Van
all-
Gaal was there, yeah.
they're all-
He didn't necessarily fit
They all
the same
derive
thing.
from Cruyff, don't they? They're all
Yeah.
a little bit different.
Everyone's got
like
their own
Mourinho's very
little-
similar to Van Gaal.
Well, he learned under him
There's
as well.
differences, and
Really?
like they're all very. Even Guardiola, in a sense, is similar to what Van Gaal does. It's just some differences along the way, and maybe how they press and things like that.
It's like Spanish and Portuguese.
So,
Yeah.
It's a lot of very similar words without it being exactly the same.
So in terms of cultures, then, with Conte,
And what the point I was trying to get to is, like, people go, big clubs don't just appoint like club legends. Yeah, they do, because the club identity is a big thing. It's a massive, almost unquantifiable thing. Where you're like, well, how did Fergie get our club identity? Outsiders can still get your identity, but for me, Conte stands for something different. His football teams play in an entirely different manner. I don't see the things that Manchester United represent, homegrown, attacking football, always being like quite direct with it. I don't see Conte ticking one of those boxes. Is he successful? Yeah. And Jose was
He
successful.
also burns the house down when he is successful.
Yeah. And like Jose, I think, yeah, is he successful? Yeah. And sometimes is he successful, but at what cost? And some people will be like, I don't care. But ultimately, if you don't care, why don't you just pick a new fucking team every year? If that's what you're all about. Because winning it with your club is about the things that your club stands for and the identity that your club. People go, stop going about fucking history. Who are we if not our history? This is what Manchester United represent. Matt Busby built it, really, because pre-war, whatever. Matt Busby built who we are. He created the ethos of Manchester United.
Yep.
Sir Alex Ferguson plugged into it and built upon those foundations with the same principles. It's no coincidence that players that have come from him are the ones that are going to carry that on. Now, I don't think any of us really had Solskjaer at the top of the list for that. I think everyone probably thought Brian Robson could have done it, Roy Keane could have done it.
Maybe Giggs as well at a time.
I think even Fergie said he thought Giggs could have done it, but
Yeah.
there's things going on with Ryan Giggs.
I mean, regardless of that, as a manager, he doesn't seem to be particularly great, does he? So we just from a football perspective.
But he's still learning on the job. It could happen still.
Yeah.
The thing is, if it's not for your identity of who you are as a football club, what are you doing? Like, if you just... And that was my one major gripe with Jose. I wouldn't have necessarily minded Jose as the one immediately after Fergie, because I think Moyes pandered to Fergie and Fergie's traditions a little too much almost.
It was almost like a parody act, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it just didn't work. Whereas I think if Jose would have come in with the caliber and the profile of players that he had, so many players in their 30s and all that, I think we'd probably won another title.
Yeah.
But you probably at some point needed Jose. You probably needed that sort of poison at some point in the club to wash it out. As soon as and I think I actually said it on camera at the time, the second you appoint Jose, the way we got rid of Van Gaal, Moyes had to go. It wasn't up for him. It wasn't the job for him. And it was obvious it wasn't the job for him. Louis, I understand everyone was bored to tears. I was also bored to tears, but I did think he was working on something. We were becoming very good in certain games, but we also just didn't have that But it was playing fucking the Schmidfield and trying to think that it could fucking create things. And when Di Maria decided he didn't want to live here anymore, our big creative outlet had gone. You bring him back into the team. You let Memphis settle. You did have some, and Tony playing up front was really working for him that season. It really could have developed into something the following season had he then brought Marcus in, had he then managed to go and get himself an attacking midfielder to replace that fucking snake that wanted to piss off. You don't know what Louis would have gone on and built. But the club said no. They bring in Jose. Jose comes in, sets fire to the fucking lot. Just isn't interested in... I mean, the under-21s ended up getting relegated under him because he was like, I'm not sanctioning any signings for an under-21 side because I'm just dealing with the first team.
That's what Conte would do.
Huh?
That's what Conte would do.
So, Adam, then...
It's a very similar thing to that.
Let's move on a bit, because you mentioned it before briefly. Pochettino is now being rumoured to be going back to Tottenham, or being talks with Tottenham. Obviously, they don't have a manager. He's just failed at PSG. I'm not talking about Poch coming to United. I don't think anyone is anymore. But the through line of what's happened in the last 18 months, if we'd have gone with the reaction, here's who's available, let's get him in now, no matter what, he's done well somewhere else before, we would have Poch as our manager now. And no one is calling for that at this point. So, do you think that a lot of this is just reactionary?
Football is.
Yeah, exactly.
Both sides, like with Ole, because if David De Gea scores his penalty and they miss their next one, everyone's talking about Ole's the best thing since sliced bread, literally over a penalty.
Yeah,
like that's how fine those margins were. So, look, Poch. I still think Poch is a good coach.
Yeah,
I still think there's potentially something there. I can't see him going back to Spurs. If you do, that's almost saying I've failed. Like, in what? 6 months? How long has he been there? At PSG, I don't think he's been there long.
Was it January or December? No, it was 17 games into the league season.
Yeah,
so
they were ahead of Lille when he came in, though.
No, it was 1 point behind.
1 point behind. They finished 1 point behind.
They were 1 point ahead of Lille, but they were 1 point off top spot. They were ahead of Lille.
Were they?
The team that were top spot weren't Lille, is what I'm saying. Okay. But they were ahead of them, the eventual winners. Again, I think Poch is a good coach. If we were talking about Ole getting sacked, I'd still put him on our shortlist for it. But I'm not thinking about Ole getting sacked.
No.
I'm not even thinking about it. And him becoming available, Allegri becoming available. Well, Allegri's not available. Conte becoming available, Zidane coming available. Unless Fergie says he wants it.
Are there any managers that if they did become available, you would say, I really need to question whether he is the man for United? Pep or Klopp?
They ain't going to be available. They're the best two coaches in the world.
What about you, Steve?
Do you know what I mean?
Is there anyone... Because it comes back to the point then, at some point, and I don't want Ole to get sacked, and I think take away who's
wanting him to get sacked. He doesn't deserve.
But
to
no,
be sacked.
I was going to say, take away who's available. Ole has done enough to have next season, definitely. That's what
This is
literally
the
was about to
crazy
say.
thing is that you can have a disappointing end to a season. Not every disappointment needs to be burning a house down. And I fucking hate this current like trend. And I think a lot of it's media led because they've got fuck all else to talk about. Like, and the fact that we're even talking about it now is because this morning the newspapers woke up and went, have this as a fucking talking point. Nightmare. But we obviously have to talk about it because we see it in the comments that you guys want us to talk about it.
And this isn't us sitting here. I know me and Steve disagree on things a lot, and with Ollie, but I can safely speak for all of us here and say, this isn't us sitting here going, Ollie has done no wrong.
No.
He doesn't deserve criticism. He doesn't deserve. We're just saying, at the end of this season, you want to sack him.
Yeah.
You are allowed to make us disappointed, but I think the general trajectory is a positive one.
Yeah.
And the job he's doing, being an organic job that he's doing as well, I think just takes a bit longer. It took Fergie 7 years to win a league. Obviously won an FA Cup in, 4?
And also, back to your point before about the ethos and the culture of a club, one of the other tenets of Manchester United is giving a manager time. Is in the face of
right manager time,
of course, but in the face of the modern era when everyone was getting rid of your manager every
United
2 years.
sack managers, bro.
United have sacked managers, of course, but there were times when Fergie could have been sacked and he wasn't. Even more recently than before he'd won a league title, 2002, 2003. There was a lot of talk about it around then when it looked like
he wanted to leave, didn't he?
There was that, but also when Jose came to Chelsea, there was loads of talk. 05, sorry. Sir Alex is done. He's a dinosaur. He's behind the times.
There was loads of that, but it was weird because obviously he was the only manager I've ever known.
Yeah.
And I do remember the times, and people can pull them up because they're online still. Like people saying Sir Alex Ferguson's finish is a dinosaur. Benitez and Mourinho are the future, and that's how reactionary football is. In the United way, Doc, have you seen when we signed Cantona? What fucking Keys and Gray were saying?
And one of the United fans outside, I'll never sing his name. I won't take to him.
Yeah.
Because he played for Leeds and then who are Cantona.
But the point with that I was trying to make is do you want United to just become Chelsea, where if you don't win something, you sack the manager no matter what? Or do you want to become a team that trusts the manager, trusts that progress is going in the right direction, and backs that manager?
Look at what Chelsea have had to do. They've had to throw money at it for years. And even though they were like, oh, we've calmed down a little bit, not like some of you didn't.
No.
Right? And that constant churn, I think Real Madrid are the same. They're constantly having to have high churn of stars. And with that comes a high churn of managers. Like they're almost going to go back round to the beginning again with all the managers that they've had. And Chelsea are the same.
They'll be back to Ancelotti soon. Chelsea will. Yeah.
Like you have to end up going round in these mad little circles. And there's a great line. It's in that book that I'm reading as well. It's talking a lot about Spain and what's going on in Spain. And the thing that Barcelona were throwing at Real Madrid and vice versa was Barcelona saying, we make our Ballon d'Or winners, you buy yours. And isn't there something in that? Like half of United's Ballon d'Or winners were homegrown. Dennis Law we bought, Cristiano Ronaldo we bought, but we did
He
make
was
him into
17
the player,
when we bought him as well.
into the player that he was. But there's something great in that, and there's something really wholesome about being able to do that. I'm not saying that. I mean, Mason Green would probably be the one that you got your eye on as someone who could go on and do that, I guess. But there's something really good about being the club that does that. And clubs have to stand for something. I mean, I love the whole concept of what Athletic Bilbao do. You might, and it's mega self-restrictive on there.
Oh, yeah, incredible.
But if everyone was the same, there's no flavour to life. I'd rather Manchester United stand for what we stand for and be who we are and be authentic and real. And even if we lose fans, fuck them pricks. Honestly, this is who we are. This is who we were built upon. This is who we should be. Otherwise, take all the names off. Just give us all red, blue, white, fucking purple, and just call them that. Purple are playing red today. Because what the fuck does it matter?
But with that being said, like, because it sounds like, and I know what people sat at home and be like, oh, lads, you're just making, no one's making, like, genuinely next season is a big season for him. And if Ollie doesn't, get it right next season, especially after this failure of not winning trophies for 4 years, and that is a failure, then there will be serious questions asked. Like if there's no trophies coming at the end of it.
But you gotta look
But
at
he
the
has to get back
circumstance.
this summer. Yeah, as well. He has. You can't be doing another summer where you remember Fred Delo and Lee Grant
Yeah.
after second. You can't be doing that to him.
No.
Because if you do, it's like, what's
He
the
needs
point?
3 minimum first team
First
players.
team
Yeah, I'm glad he
players.
said that yesterday.
That's the
as well.
thing, yeah. And I've
might
got
have said
that.
4.
Well, I've got that quote here. This is from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after the final last night. There's a few quotes here, so I'll go through them. He says, "I've been delighted with the effort, the desire, the the determination of players. I can't fault them at all. We have probably done as well as anyone could imagine. We need to do better, work harder, cleverer, but we need 2 or 3 players to strengthen the starting 11 and the squad altogether. I'm sure our contenders will improve, and we want to improve as well as we can." That's the key thing there, that he says starting 11. Because last year, yes, we got Tellez, we got Ahmad, we got Pellistri, we got Cavani. Only one of them is a Van der Beek, sorry. Only one of them is a starting player, and that is Cavani. And he's leaving next season no
And
matter
he
what.
weren't bought to start even.
Exactly. So we had a team that finished third, not luckily, but skin of the teeth, and then we get 1 first team player. That we need more than that, don't we?
And how many games has he actually played? Just have a look on who scored.
Who, Cavani?
Cavani, yeah.
I think it's about 30.
Not all
It's
starts.
just over half the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, how many games he started? Let's have a look.
And you know what? When we bought him as well, he couldn't even be involved for about a month. Yeah. He had to quarantine, he had to ditz. And I know, again, it's like at the start of the season, no pre-season and that. I actually think what we've done in this league campaign has been not great, but decent.
Good.
Like to be able to get that sort of consistency after that start, I think it's good. And a lot of people, like we had this conversation and the kickoff of the day, like they all sit there saying, "Oh yeah, you should finish second with that squad." But then
What
at
do
the
you mean
start,
with that squad?
but at the start of the season, you were predicting everybody to finish above us.
Yeah.
So
That's the changing fucking goalpost that you get with it. Everyone at the start of the season was like, when I said second and you was being an idiot, right, and said first. I've got United second.
I've got City second.
You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
wasn't far off.
I got my entire top 4 right.
Yeah, no. I got a top 4 right. Just
So when everyone was talking about where United was coming, it's like, have you go and look at the comments and then videos. Second, are you like United have got the 4th or 5th best squad? Correct. So has Ollie outperformed? Shit.
But he has underperformed in the cups, and I think it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, I think Ollie needs to improve here. It doesn't mean you're not supporting him.
Doesn't mean you have to sack him as well.
It doesn't mean you have to sack him either.
No.
It's like
It's like Steve.
your missus
sometimes
orders you
piss me off.
the wrong takeaway, or she books you the wrong restaurant or something like that, or I've got you a drink and it's Carlin. I don't divorce her.
So, as far as you're concerned, then, Steve, to wrap up, we've got Poch available, presumably. We've got Conte available. We've got Zidane available.
Put Poch in, put me in.
You're not interested in any of them?
No.
And you don't think United... Do you think United will be interested in any of them?
I don't know. I don't know what the personality of United's board
I
is
don't
going to be
think
in
so.
a post-Woodward era.
I think at this period of time, do you remember when Martin Edwards was like, and I'm not comparing Ollie and Fergie again, but because of, like, you see how they've changed everything behind with Murto and Fletcher and all that, and I imagine for the last 6 months, 12 months they've been working on transfers. I don't think they now go, let's throw all that away and
You'd
get a new
hope.
manager.
So, of those managers as well, you don't fancy any of them at United?
I think you can all make an argument for those managers potentially being better choices for certain other clubs than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But for Manchester United, I don't see them
Yeah,
now
that's it.
as a better choice for us.
That I hate this line. Would any other top club in Europe take him? One, I don't give a fuck about any other top club in Europe.
What are the top
Two,
club that got Zidane?
Neil Warnock's got a
Or
job.
Pep.
Yeah, Neil Warnock's got a job. So yes, Solskjaer would absolutely moonwalk his ass into another job without a shadow of a doubt. Probably end up at Chelsea in 3 managers.
Imagine
time.
it, a lot of clubs would look at him and think, done all right job there.
Exactly. Yeah. Just because of the
I
narrative
think you
that's
get a
out there
Leicester
for fans.
style job or Tottenham job.
Correct.
It'd be mint for top.
Yeah, correct. So, I hate that narrative. I hate that line. I was just about to say as well, do you think the fact that Fergie's been very visible of late as well is sort of something? Or is it, am I just...
He has got a few films to flog, hasn't
Yeah, but he's not doing any press for him.
he? Well, I mean, apart from speaking to fucking Jay.
I wasn't really press, was it? It was a red carpet.
Let's not worry about that. Anyway, thank
Still not
you.
forgiving Jay for that.
Our sponsor again today is Manscaped. Thank you very much check the link in the description. And again, use the code Paddock20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Steve. Let us know at home as well your thoughts on these managers. About 4 managers have just become available overnight. Do you see any change at United? Do you want any change at United? Let us know in the comments. Thanks again. We'll see you in a bit.
Super manager sweep.